Story time about how my ex-husband married my mother. Disclaimer, it's not on Storytime, it's on Instagram. My husband and I divorced about a year ago. Little backstory. When my husband and I were together, we didn't really have infidelity problems. We mostly had financial problems, and we just didn't agree on having kids. I definitely did not want kids, and he wanted kids. Anyway, we ended up getting divorced after 2 years of being married. Now, when he and I were married, him and my mom always got along super well. More than your average son-in-law, mother-in-law. Of course, this always made me happy. My husband just made her laugh a lot, and they would even sometimes go and have dinners together, or just get drinks together. Exactly a year after he and I got divorced, towards the end of my marriage with my husband, he confessed to me that he is very attracted to older women. He even joked about how he might get with my mom after he divorced me. I thought it was funny, we both laughed. Well, fast forward exactly a year later. My mom invites me and my siblings over to her house for dinner. Suddenly, my ex-husband comes out of the kitchen and they both announce that they are getting married. And then they start tonguing each other. The worst part is that a few days before, I told my mom that I was missing my ex-husband. Part 2 is up. Story time about how my mother is marrying my ex-husband. Disclaimer, is not my story time, it's on Instagram. I had just told my mom that I was missing my ex-husband and that I might text him. No wonder she didn't reply, because 2 weeks later they're announcing that they're getting married. As he's making out with my mom in front of her kids, in front of me, I get up from the table and I leave. At this point, I'm still not over my ex-husband. Yes, we both agreed to get a divorce, but the more time I spent away from him, the more I realized that maybe I did want kids, and that he was the perfect person to do it with. Well, at this point, I have nothing else. My ex is marrying my mom. Basically, everyone followed me into the kitchen. That's when I just let it rip. I told my mom that she was the worst mom in the world, and that I had told her 2 weeks before that I was missing my ex-husband. That's when my ex-husband looks at my mom and says, "Is that true?" My mom looks at him and says, "Yes, it's true." Then he turns to me and says that he's sorry, but he's no longer in love with me, and that the one he wants to be with is my mother. My siblings and I were all really upset, so we decided to leave. Once I get home, I get a text from my ex-husband asking to meet up with me. Comes over to my apartment, and as soon as he comes in, he tries to kiss me. I couldn't resist and I kissed him back. Part 3 is up. When my ex-husband grabbed me and just started making out with me, I couldn't resist it. When we finally finished making out, he tells me that he's still gonna marry my mother. I asked him why, and he said that he was marrying her because she really needed him. He kept saying things like, she's a lonely woman, she's getting older, she needed someone to take care of her. Mind you, I have 4 siblings and me who literally are always there for my mother. I have never left this woman alone a day in her life. That's when I started remembering something. A few years ago, he had a friend who married an older woman, and that basically he became her sugar baby. Then I realized that around this time, he had gotten fired from his job. Then I accused him of wanting to become a sugar baby. He got so angry he left my apartment. Then I get a call from my mother. Guess what my mom says? She said that she's willing to support him because he gives her everything she needs. She even told my brothers and sisters that we could only come to her house if we are invited. My ex-husband blocked me, trying to convince my mom to block all of us. Because of this, they got into a huge fight. My ex-husband came back to me again, but I said no. What the heck should we do?
Never wanted to be a mom. I never wanted our daughter.
Am I wrong
For telling my husband I never wanted our daughter after he refused to take care of her? I, 27 female, have never really wanted children. I told my husband this many times over the early years of our relationship, and once we were married, I tried my best to really stress that. He, 26 male, never seemed to mind this and always agreed that he didn't want children. This was going well until I got pregnant about a year into our marriage. I knew I did not want the baby and assumed my husband wouldn't either, but when I told him, he was excited. He ended up convincing me to go through with the pregnancy, and so I did. Flash forward to today, and our daughter Ria is 15 months old. I really do love her, but I'm exhausted. My husband works full-time and I am stay-at-home mom. I'm with her almost 24/7. I never have a break and I do everything with her. I get up in the morning, feed her all 3 meals, play with her, bathe her, change every diaper, take her out for toddler classes, arrangement playdates, and put her down again at night. You're basically a mommy. Last night, our routine was going as usual when my husband got home. The baby had been particularly difficult that night and I was reaching my limit. I asked him if he could put her to bed that night so I could lay down. I expected him to say yes, as he hardly sees her with work and she usually is asleep by the time he gets home, but instead he snapped at me. Apparently he had a very long day and he needed to lay down. I was shocked. Literally never been so angry in my life. I went and put Ria into her crib before I responded to him. I feel horrible, but essentially what I said was that I never wanted to be a mom. I never wanted our daughter. He did. So why is it all on me to take care of her? Why can't he just make a bottle and read the baby he wanted book? He was immediately furious with me. He couldn't believe what I had said, and he hasn't talked to me since.
Am I wrong
For refusing to do my mother-in-law's makeup for an event after she said she wouldn't pay me? A little bit of background information. My mother-in-law is a hairstylist, which means she is a certified cosmetologist. I do makeup and I've never been professionally certified. However, it has been my job for over 6 years now. Every time there's a special event or something going on in the family, she always asks me if I'll help her do her makeup, and in exchange she'll do my hair. However, the last couple of times that we have had this sort of arrangement, it seems like she rushes through my hair and ends up making it look worse than it did before. A couple of weeks ago, she called me and asked me if I could do her makeup for a special event at her salon coming up the next day. For any other client, I need at least 3 days notice. But of course, for my mother-in-law, I was willing to make an exception. I wasn't going to be going to the event, so there was no need for her to style my hair, and that's why I assumed that she would pay me for my services like a regular client would. Of course, I intended on giving her a discount. However, Monday through Friday is still my work week, and I could be making real money with real clients if she hadn't asked for my time. As per my normal client policy, I asked for payment in advance to doing the makeup. But whenever I brought this up to her, she immediately gave me this look like, who the you think you are? She started going off on me about how she always does my hair and never charges me a thing. And that's when I explained to her how I felt about the time she had done my hair in the past, and that every time that had happened, I had also done her makeup for free. This ended up snowballing into a screaming match with her telling me things like, "You're not good enough for my son, I wish he had married someone better than you." And after a couple of minutes, I just packed up my things and left. She started calling my husband, telling him that I refused to do her makeup and was trying to ruin her event on purpose. And she even told him that I was cussing at her and telling her to get out of my face, which clearly did not happen. If anything, it was closer to the opposite. When I got home that night, my husband said we needed to sit down and have a talk about what happened with his mom. I tried explaining to him what actually happened, but he told me regardless, I still needed to be the bigger person and apologize to her and offer to do her makeup again. I told him that I had no problem apologizing for how things went down earlier that day, but that in the future I would be expecting some form of payment if she ever wanted me to do her makeup again. He told me that wasn't fair, and he even got my sister-in-law involved. Now it's awkward every single time we see his family, and I really don't know what to do.
Fun fact, I was a hostess at a restaurant and I was in love with one of the servers. Storytime. He was really hot, okay? And his name was Jason. That is his real name because I don't care. I was 19 and he was 30, so I never thought I had a chance, and I should have been right, and he should have gone to jail. The only time he would talk to me was when he would come over to the host stand to brag about how much money he made, and he'd be like, "Oh, how much money did you make, Becca?" And I'd be like, "Still $8 an hour, same as yesterday and the day before." He would always brag to me about how nice his house was, and he would show me pictures, and I would see them and I'd be like, "Yeah, that is a nice house. God, I live in like a college dorm. You are way cooler." And he was like, "You're just young, you know nothing about finances. I can teach you if you want." And I was like, I feel like we are coworkers at the same Max and Irma's right now, but yeah, sure. Teach me, Jason. So I had just gone through a breakup like a couple months before that, and for some reason my ex-boyfriend decided to bring over some of my stuff during my shift to my work. After he left, Jason was like, "No offense, Becca, but your boyfriend kind of sucks." He was like sassy. "I don't like the way that guy was talking to you." And I was like, "Well, we did just break up, so he's probably not too excited to see me." And Jason was like, What'd you say? You just broke up. You're single?" He was like, "We are celebrating. You should come over to my house today, like right now. You should come over right now." I was like, "Well, we should probably wait until our shift ends, but other than that, I'm down." Anyways, I made my coworker Abby come with me because I was scared. So we pull up to his house. I'm like, "This is like a really nice house, Jason. Like, it's almost like, how is this your house, you know? Like, how much do servers make right now?" Jeez. But then we walk in, and this is what it looks like inside. Hang on. This. I was like, "Jason, kind of seems like you have a weird taste in interior design. But I guess you are 30, and I probably, like you said, just know nothing." We go downstairs in his basement. He makes us drinks. Jail, jail, jail. I know what you're thinking. This is the beginning of a horror movie. And you're right, yeah, it could have been. Except guess who comes in the room? His mom! His mom! She's like, "Jason, can I talk to you? Upstairs?" Abby and I were like, and I was like, "Come on, Becca, we're leaving." And I was like, "We can't leave now, then it just looks like we're leaving because he lives with his parents." And I was like, that is why we're leaving. Let's go." And I was like, "Fine, get in the car. I'm gonna wait and say bye to him because I feel bad." So he comes back down and he's like, "God, I'm sorry, my mom is so annoying." And I was like, "No, yeah, moms are like the worst." I remember when my mom used to tell me to like clean my room and stuff. You know how that goes because you still live with yours. Then he was like, "Can I make out with you?" And I was like, "Thanks for asking, not today, but see you at work tomorrow." So yeah.